So I'll call this meeting to order, and we have minutes of the previous meeting, June 17th.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of June 17th.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Go up to your
Aye.
screen,
Aye.
size, Jamie, up on the cube up there.
Okay,
Up,
All right.
keep it higher. That one, hit it, there.
all right. I guess Lee's getting,
Oh, there's Michael.
all right. So then moving on, we have warrants 1P. We have to ratify the warrant for the last warrant of the previous fiscal year, 27. Then we have cemetery fund number 4, capital fund number 6, and reappraisal fund number 12.
I'll make a motion to approve warrants 1P, ratify 27, cemetery fund number 4, capital fund number 6, and reappraisal fund number 12.
I'll second it.
Okay. Now, the reappraisal fund, we're going to talk about the reappraisal in a little while. I wonder if we might want to just hold that bill for later in our session here. It's for $43,000, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So
You
we'll
want
just
me?
table.
Well, we're only ratifying it, so it was probably already paid, right?
Ratify?
Right.
Ratifying. I wondered if we were so we're ratifying not only 27, but also the cemetery capital fund and reappraisal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that, what's that? That bus has left the station. Okay.
It has left
Yeah.
the station.
All right. All right. Then, any other discussion? All right. Then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on, let's see. Recognition of visitors and public comments.
Do we want the internal financial control checklist from Charlotte? Have we all reviewed it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So would you, do you make a motion to
Sign that.
sign this, the internal financial control checklist for municipalities? I'll make a
I'll
motion.
second it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we can move on to visitors and public comments. Let's see. We can maybe wait until later on in the agenda, Jean and Michael, and we'll move to the road foreman's report. Lee, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We have a review and award a loader bid.
Okay. So everybody got the email from Lori about the different reasons and what my suggestion was or recommendation?
No.
No.
No?
So,
No.
oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I was thinking it got sent out, but it was on the same list of what we've done for the last 10 days.
Didn't see that either.
Neither
Oh,
did-
is that right? Oh, okay. All right. So I'll start from here. All right. So I'm going to recommend that we get the 544 John Deere loader. That is the $149,500 one. And reasons over the 524 loader, which was around $25,000 less. And the reason is just more horsepower, more hydraulic pressure, better because the equipment, we keep it 15 years. And I
You should
believe,
get the most, Gene. so you don't have to have it in your way if you want to wait there.
Okay to still go?
Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
All right, okay. All right. And so over the 15 years, and I did ask him if you traded them both in and they were both in equal shape, how much more would you get for trading? And you get 10,000 more for the 544 when you go to trade it in over the 524. It's the machine just has to work less hard to do the job. You know, the motor is bigger, and they're almost the same. They are the same frame, same tires, same height. And I also wrote a reason that we ended up only going out to John Deere, even though they believe that they weren't sure who we were going out to. I never told them, and originally I had told them Komatsu, but then Komatsu never got a hold of me to bid on it, so we just went and did it. Right now we have a John Deere grader and backhoe, and parts being close by is worth a lot. Yeah, so those
Yeah,
are my
I mean,
reasons.
yeah, you mentioned that to me, Lee, when we talked on the phone, and I thought that made a lot of sense. And it's not, they thought we were sending bids out to multiple people. So to me, that's what's important.
Right. He actually asked me today or yesterday that, you know, who else we sent them out to.
Mhm.
And I just said it, I told him that it's, and of course, a lot of the loaders, or at least case loaders, are all too high to go through the covered bridge anyways. So I didn't want to send them to them. And
What did you tell them about the other bidders? Did you say that you just?
yeah, I told him that we ended up only going out to John Deere. Yep.
But that was after he gave you the price.
Right. That was today or
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when he gave
Yeah,
you
it
the
was all-
price, he thought you were,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
sending it out to multiple people.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
you basically, in essence, paying $15,000 more for the big one because of the trade-in difference.
Right.
Is there better, less maintenance perhaps on the big one?
I would say it's about the same. You know, every so many hours you have to replace it. It's just a matter of the motor won't be, you know, it'll run at a lower RPM to do the same job. And as far as hydraulic pressure, when you go to dig into the bank at the gravel pit, it just will be able to get a bucket easier instead of might not spin as easy or just easier on the machine.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Lee about this loader? All right, so we have a bid. Lee has recommended this particular loader. What would you like to do?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Nortrax for the John Deere 544L payloader for $149,500.
I'll second that, Geraldine.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Now, I just have one quick question for Lee. Lee, can you sign that, or do you need one of us to sign that? To accept it?
I can't remember exactly. I would have to look it up on the grader and just to make sure. Usually I sign for them, but
Okay.
they might need to select somebody from the select board to do it. I'm not 100% sure now.
Okay, just check on it, because I'll be over at the office in the morning.
Okay. No, that sounds good.
okay.
Okay.
So if you didn't get the email of, would you like a summary of what work we did over the last couple weeks?
Sure.
That would be great. Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to go down the dates. just because it's easier to follow for me. But so we did some under drain on Quarry Road. We did a culvert on Miller Road, and we also did some maintenance on the 2014 Dodge that same day. And then we did another culvert on Greenhoe Road, and then we did some under drain on Greenhoe Road. And then there's another culvert on Miller Road. Then we swept the covered bridge, got it ready for the fire department to wash it, and I believe they washed it that night or the following night. Okay. And we also finished up some under drain that day, and we also made some sand.
No, you're muted, right? Is that what it said? Go on to your picture.
It said unmute.
Okay. All right. So then we did another culvert on Park Lawton Road, under drain on Bunker Road, culvert on Spalding, and then we did a culvert on Bunker Road, another culvert on Bunker Road. Also, Ron has been working on the town clerk's office, fixing clapboards and any rot, what the painters have been finding. So he got all that taken care of. He also, next week, he's going to be planing down the screen doors so they can paint the edges so they'll close good. So that was, and we've been doing some spot grading actually today and yesterday, since there's been enough moisture to get things to pack back down. Oh, I got this curb cut in front of me also, or access permit.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know if everyone's familiar with it, but it's at the
Holland Hill Road?
yeah, it's at the end of Hague Road, at the very end. They want a parking lot so they can access the trails from there. And I did meet with them, looked at it. Everything's good with it. It's pretty much an existing driveway. It is in the middle of a steep hill, but that's about the only place they can get it to go.
So it's going to be a parking place for cars?
Yes.
How many cars can fit in it?
Where the cars are going to be is out of the town right away. And I think they said they would like to get, I'm going with my, what I think they said. Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 cars.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. They drive in probably 100 feet, and then they can turn around in there and then park in there.
Okay. Great.
That's Carolyn Mayo Brown's, that
Yes.
curb cut? Okay.
Yep.
Right. Well, Lee, if you'd like, we can just jump down to that and deal with that right now. There's the curb cut
Okay.
described to us, and top of Hague Road. What would you like to do?
I'll make a motion to approve the curb cut at the top of Hague Road submitted by Carolyn Mayo Brown.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, so we got that, Lee?
Yep. The next thing, I don't have an agenda in front of me, but I remember there's some outlets on the porch of the town clerk's.
Yes.
Right now, I can't seem to locate the breaker that they belong to, and they aren't working. I would think it would be a GFI, but I just couldn't find it. So I think it's going to be a job for electrician, and it's just a matter of, we haven't used them in a long time, and it's, did you want to spend the money now, or or not.
What are they gonna be used? What are they going to be used for again?
I was thinking somebody mentioned that if you had a meeting outside, you could plug into them. Other than that, I don't think there's going to be much use for them, put it that way. Besides they're there and if you want them working.
Mhm. Okay. What would you want to do on electrical outlets at the office?
That's a deferred decision, huh?
Are you trying to say something, Maria?
If they haven't been working for, I mean, I don't like messing around with electrical, but if they're not working, is there anything else not working as far as the electrical at the town office? I mean, I would hate to have it snowball into something bigger. And if you can't track down, track it back to what breaker it is there a problem in the panel that could lead to bigger problems? If we
Right.
kind of table it at this point.
Right. Yes, I agree with you that it's something that's not working that should be taken care of. If it's not now, it should be after, in September, put it that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, clearly it's a problem that's not going to fix itself.
Right. I'd say just go ahead. We're in the new fiscal year. Let's just go ahead and have an electrician take a look at it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Everybody else okay with that?
I would agree with that. Let's just check it out.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing to mess with.
Yep. Okay, good. And then on the agenda, Lee, there's trash at the covered bridge. And that's,
All right.
yeah.
So anyways, I was contacted, I think Lori contacted me. And so I ran down there and they had brought it all up top. So ended up picking it up and just putting it in with our regular load of garbage. I guess I think that was it. As far as that goes, I don't know if on the trash thing, if they were thinking we're going to go down underneath the bridge and pick up trash, or, I mean, it's not a problem if, well, I'd really rather not have it to do it every day, but, if we have to go over and pick up something in the parking lot, it's one thing, but going down underneath the bridge and cleaning up everyone's mess might not be so good.
Would it be better to have a container there or is there one?
I don't believe it would be, because it would be full every day.
I wouldn't recommend putting something there because it will be overflowing.
Okay.
Right.
People will take
Burst the
advantage of it.
seams. Yeah.
Okay.
And if we do it for there, then they're gonna want us to do one at Flat Rocks and then Deo's and.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's not a good idea.
No.
Right, and it's not a municipal swimming area. It's
Right.
not a town swimming area. So, I guess we don't need more signs there, but
Right. That's what I was thinking. There should be a sign that says, leave it better than you found it.
Carry out your trash.
Yeah.
I do believe, though, we're pretty fortunate that I think this happens maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's, I don't think it's a problem yet.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're sort of on call for, and let's see how it goes.
Mhm.
And hopefully
Sounds
we'll
good.
not have any more problems this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, great. Any other things you want to bring up, Lee?
I had a couple things here. So the Dummerston Center Cemetery is a private cemetery, and they would like a sign down at the end of the driveway on East-West Road.
Mhm.
And they didn't actually say if they were hoping the town could pitch in some money for a post or something to that effect to put it there, or split the cost with them or something to that effect. But I did tell them I'd run it by you guys tonight and see what your thought was. I don't mind putting one in. The sign post, I do believe the sign could be, well, I'm not sure on the price, but you know, I think it would be nice if they pitched in something.
What sign do they want?
They're looking for it's sort of looking like a street sign, or pretty much, and just saying Dummerston Center Cemetery, and if the address could fit on it, they would like that, just so people can find it going up and down East-West Road.
And Lee, for my benefit, who is they?
Well, this is Gordon Evans is the one who approached me, and he's the I would call it like the caretaker of the cemetery.
Uh-huh.
It's for the church in the center.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. So it is what we have a cemetery. We're well represented here with cemetery commissioners. What's your take on it?
It's a slippery slope on this one.
Yeah.
It's a very slippery slope.
I'd suggest that they get the post and sign that they'd like, and maybe we have to offer, if Lee's agreeable, the town
that's what I was
road
going to say.
to install the sign for them.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Now, is the driveway to the cemetery, or is it a private driveway to a residence? So they're putting it on somebody else's property other than the
Right.
cemetery property.
Right. They are checking with the owner of the driveway, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that driveway is. They must
I
have a
don't
right
either.
of way up through there.
Right.
But yes, they are checking with the owner of the driveway. This isn't really like a. They might not end up being able to do it. This is just in case if they are able to do it.
Yep. And then, I mean, I don't know how big of a sign, but are they going to need to check with Roger about a sign permit?
Right. It could get into that. We were going to go over the font size. Gordon and I were to try to make the sign not too big.
When
Yeah.
we
But-
did the signs for ours, the town-owned ones, and that was donated. That was an anonymous donation. They were
Right.
They were almost, I believe, the person paid almost $200 a pop for them.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and that's very little on the signs that we had that are put up there.
So I guess they have some more information they need to get before they can go ahead and seems like.
Right, but can we say that we would offer the town crew for installing it if they get all their ducks in a row?
What do you want to do with that? Is that okay with everyone, or?
Is that all right? if Lee doesn't have a problem with it.
Right.
it's
Oh, no,
Lee's
no, I don't have
order. Okay.
I don't have a problem. I think it's a benefit for the town, and it's
Yeah.
going to be right in the town right away.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That seems to be what we can offer them. Should they go through the process and get everything lined up with
Yeah, and so would it come back to the select board once they've got everything lined up for us to make would we need to make a motion or anything? I mean, or is this just kind of a sentiment of the board kind of thing?
I think this is a sense of the board.
Yeah. I'd like to make sure it complies with the size, the sign size through Roger.
Yes. Yes, I will mention that to Gordon.
Yeah.
Great.
Right. We don't want, the road crew installing an illegal,
Right.
Right. Yeah.
a good precedent in town. That would be gotta not. So that's good. Anything else, Lee?
Yes, the last thing I had, and it doesn't matter to me if it's like you vote on it tonight or anything. I don't know if you could anyways, but there's a person in town who's 16, 17 years old who would like to work in the cemetery, straightening the stones.
Oh,
And-
wonderful.
Right. And so he would actually, my suggestion and Lori's, I mentioned it to Lori, she didn't really suggest anything, but she was about putting him on the town payroll, and then he would, it'd be by the hour, straightening the stones, and it would come out of the cemetery committee or the cemetery fund.
So
I guess the benefit is that I believe that we can get a lot more stones straightened for the money, and it gives somebody who's younger a job, and I think in the future they would help us out, when they got older too, for just training type of thing.
So there'll be some are you going to provide some supervision or?
Right. It would be one of the road crew members would at least, well, I would do it to get them started, but not. I don't believe needs to be total supervision. Put it that way.
Right.
So I'm curious, just in terms of the process. I mean, we have a cemetery committee, right?
Right.
And you're talking about the town cemeteries, not like the private one that you were talking about before.
Yes.
And so it would seem to me that the cemetery committee would want to have a say in this and, meet this person and also provide support, whether that's oversight training or just, because they're the ones that are most familiar with the cemeteries. I don't know.
Well,
Yep. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about what you thought about that idea, if I should pursue it with, of course, Terry's there, Lewis and I are all on the cemetery committee.
And Jean's on it too.
All right. And is she there?
She's here too.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, okay. Yep. So,
I'd be inclined to leave it to the cemetery committee.
okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, we've got, we've budgeted, we've had money in the past for stone straightening. It's just been very difficult to find somebody that could do it or would do it.
Wow.
So this is, to have somebody that's even interested and learning that technique and having Lee there showing him what needs to be done. It's amazing.
Great.
Good news. Great.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea. The only suggestion I would make is that because he's only 16, that you get some type of parental permission.
Yes.
That his parents sign something that he's. I mean, I know he's not running heavy equipment or anything, but just because he is 16 and working for the town, technically, I'd just get some type of parental permission that he can work. That's all.
Ideal.
So.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
I have a couple of things for Lee before he goes.
Yep.
If he's about to go. This just Lee and everyone. I'd sent an email around to you, not to you. You didn't get it. Don't think me, about the Conservation Commission meeting we had on the Emerald Ash Borer, and they were going to take some develop some information to do an inventory of the Emerald Ash Borer, and to coordinate it with you and their findings and whether or not actions should be taken in terms of protecting rights of way, etc. So you didn't get that, right?
I did get something on that. Now you're making me wonder if I missed the meeting or not, because I talked to him, but I'm not sure if we actually did set up. I think he wanted to do a Zoom meeting on it.
Yeah, I was on that Zoom meeting, and that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I can send you a copy of the what I sent to the select board. Just for your information, really. They're going to be they'll be in touch with you when they have their findings, and so I don't think, and they're going to be coordinating with you, and I think with Green Mountain Power also, because they obviously have an interest in trees that are defective on the roadway, and so okay, so that's that. Anything else? Any questions from the select board on that issue? Okay, there's another. This is a small thing, but down by the covered bridge is a rain garden. Apparently, the town used to mow around it. I don't know. I haven't been there. I don't know how much grass there is there, but Christine Gepp from the Conservation Commission asked me if I would pass on that the question regarding whether or not the town would be interested or would be able to mow that area.
Yes, we have mowed that in the past, and yeah, that's a good reminder. But right now, the mowers, we're waiting for a baron to come in for the drum for it. So,
Okay.
but once we get that in, get it back together, yes, that will be on the
agenda. Okay, good. Okay, I'll report back to them. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Okay, any other questions for Lee? Okay. Well, Lee, you're welcome to stay on if you'd like, but guess we're gonna move on.
Well, you guys have a good night. I think I'm going to sign off.
All right, okay.
Thanks, Lee.
Good to
right.
hear you, though. All right.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. All right, moving on. Correspondence for information. Is there anything there that you'd like to discuss? Okay, under correspondence for discussion and or action. SeVEDS sent us a letter. They'd just like some guidance as to what we're going to do, whether or not they have to petition to get on the town meeting warning again, or they've been on for 3 years now by petition. Do we have a policy that would automatically add them to the warning for next year. And myself, I can't remember if there's a policy or if there's the state, if there's a statute that mandates that. So I think it just needs a little looking into before we can give them the answer. So probably an email to VLCT would be a good way of finding out about this. We're getting closer to the answer. And would anyone like to take that on? Maybe this volume thing isn't working on the computer.
Geraldine, would you like to do that?
I'll do it unless David wants to do it.
I was diverted by that phone. Can somebody, what is the requirement to, what do we need, what has to be done here?
We just need to find out if after petitioning to be on the town meeting warning, requesting, funds for 3 years, is an organization automatically, just put on the warning without petitioning?
Yeah.
So
you want me or somebody to talk with them?
Yes, with VLCT.
And find out if in fact, find out if they are automatically on, or
yes,
What
Yes.
the protocol is.
What
Just
the
what the protocol is for people who have petitioned a couple years in a row.
okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, and yes, we get this information from Vermont League of Cities and Towns. They would have the answer for us, I believe, unless they tell us that, oh, well, look in the vault and you probably got a policy on it, and then we'll do that.
I'll check with VCL.
Okay, great, good.
Perfect.
Okay, well then we can move on to new business. And we have the Humane Society's contract. They're to provide shelter for domestic animals, mostly dogs and cats that are for the town. And I believe the contract amount is, I think, the same as last year.
Dogs on leave.
It's 533, if I'm reading this correctly.
That sounds about pretty close to what it was last
Let
year.
them know that you can communicate with them. I will leave and go out and do the potatoes. But I don't want to be out there in case you can't get.
Harold, you haven't been recognized, so. But okay, so we've got the contract. It's pretty much the same one that we've been going with for a number of years now.
I'll make a motion to accept the Humane Society contract for this fiscal year, now that we're at July 1st.
Okay. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Great.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All right, then I guess past that. Okay, so now I guess there's been some confusion about the reappraisal and home visits, and some of the listers are going to clear that up. So Jean and Michael, we'll give you the microphone right now.
Jean, why don't I just quickly start and then you can fill in around the edges. The reappraisal has been basically put on hold because of COVID, obviously. They are now have decided that what they're able to do is to sort of get a head start on the reappraisal, which entails doing land values and camps. So they've been going to, they've been traveling around looking at land and also visiting camps. We're now at a place where their restrictions are that they can't go into houses. And I don't know if that's because something that's part of a state regulation, but they can't go into houses. But what they can do is conduct, keeping a safe distance, door interviews. And so what that's going to entail is they're going to be doing an outside inspection of the property and making sure that the records that we have are accurate. They will, if the owner is willing, they'll do a door interview if there's any additional information that they would like to have. And then there will be revisits back to all these houses that they door visits when the restrictions have been lifted about going inside houses. Again, that's going to be dependent on homeowners allowing people into the house. The rationale that they gave is that, generally speaking, on other experiences that they've had with in other towns, up to 50% of the people when they're in a certain neighborhood are not home, and so they'll leave a card and say, we'll be back in touch. And again, 40% of the houses don't get an internal inspection or something around those numbers. So this notion of having an interview and then coming back is something that they're very used to doing. And for them, it's going to allow them to sort of get going on this so that we can keep this at a timely schedule. So that's basically why we put out the signs. And one of the appraisers has been out again, getting in touch, knocking on doors, and if people are home, that's fine. Ask if they can have an interview, fine. If they don't want to have an interview, and if they don't, or they're not home, then a card is left and saying that we'll be back in touch.
See, I have some concerns of what you're explaining. The first concern is when they allowed the guidance to come down for the real estate to open up. They also allowed the guidance for appraisers to open up, because there's no way you can do a house sale without an appraisal. So I don't understand why they're saying they can't get into a home if an appraiser can go in for a house sale. Okay, there's my first question now, because the guidance has come down from the state in the end of April. The second thing I have is, when you're talking, and I'm going to have to clarify this with Jean on this, is I believe the last time they did a reappraisal, the number of actual entries that weren't allowed was minimal compared to the number, okay? So if you're talking about a skew of 40 to 50% of the ones that allowed somebody to go in and didn't go in, then the numbers aren't going to come out right. You know, in terms of a fair and equitable grand list. So I have questions regarding that, the way the process is running based on the contract that I just sent out to everybody. And do you get where I'm going with this, Michael?
Sure. And then, Jean, please chime in. What I can tell you is only what the appraisers have told us. And the appraisers have told us that they are restricted from going into the house. I don't know if they're following state regulations, or if private real estate appraisers can go into houses, but this group can't. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
And we could certainly get in touch with our appraisers and find out why is it that you're not allowed to go in the house when real estate appraisers are, sort of private contracting. They can go in. I'm relaying what they've told us. Jean?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the number of people in the last appraisal that how many house inspections in terms of the total community, was it a high ratio, or is it a low ratio that we were able to get into the houses?
We were able to get into most all of the houses, and I mean, it was so long ago, I can't tell you the number, but it was not a real bad issue. So
it wasn't the 40 to 50% that he.
No, I'd say we got into at least 90 to 95.
I think because Dummerstonians are friendly people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's not going to be an issue for us, but the larger issue may be that people just aren't home, because basically what we're doing is
We
putting
are
up
home.
a sign that says, we're going to be in your neighborhood. People are not making appointments yet. We're going to try to get to appointments in certain regions once we've been able to organize ourselves to start getting both appraisers working on the appraisal, and we could start trying to schedule visits. I think at this point, because again, they keep on telling us they can't go into the houses. We haven't gone to the extent of saying, now let's try to make some appointments. But this is something, obviously, we need to go back to them and find out what's the contradiction.
Well, here's the thing. We've only got 10 months to when this has got to get done. And how much do you think they've done by now? 2%?
I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know total percent.
They're just starting out at this, and this is a 2-year contract, paying them, and we're at a run here, and that's a lot of time if they're going back and forth on this, based on the contract. That's a concern. Right.
So what the way that we understand what the current appraiser that's been going out, Gene, didn't he give us a schedule that he said by November he thinks that he could have covered most of the houses?
Yeah, he did say that. He said 3 days a week through November or to November. I forgot which. But just to let you know that I received an email from Nate today, and he's going to meet with us listers in the morning regarding setting up appointments to go to people's houses. So it's just very mixed. I'm confused because he wants appointments and yet he can't go in. So we may try to get that understood tomorrow.
So we're still in the ballgame of make an appointment to do a door check, but not go in the home. We're still in that we don't know what we're doing.
Right, that's right. I'm not sure just what his situation will be tomorrow and how he will answer those questions.
So Terry, what we can do easily tomorrow on Thursday or Tuesday is to get in touch with our district advisor and ask the question that you've posed, because he works for the organization, the company that has the contract. And we'll relate to him that according to information that we have, that you've said, that real estate appraisers are being allowed into houses. So there's no state regulation that is not allowing them to go in. It may be just a choice that this company has made that they don't want their staff going into houses. I don't know, but that's something that we need to.
I've got even a better idea on this one, guys. It's up to the board. Let's let the board ponder this. How about you guys get a hold of the Ed, I believe his name is, and get a conference call for the end of next week. And how about Maria and I sit down and have a conference call with Gene and listers? We can come over and we do it by phone, and we can actually get a real good understanding and get these questions asked. That'll give me the time to bring up the guidance, because I cannot remember the date that they were allowed, but I believe it was the last week of April or beginning of May where this guidance came down. So we've got something in my mind, and we can start asking these questions. So as a board, we know that we're getting, we signed the contract for the amount of money to get a reappraisal, and it should be fair and equitable reappraisal. So for next Thursday or Friday, that would give you guys time to make it. What would you think of that as a board if Maria and I sat in and asked some questions?
I'm happy to do that.
I'd feel good about that. I think it'd give more confidence that, this is a big. Yeah. It's very important for the town that this be done fairly and equitably and
thoroughly
done well. So
Yeah.
And you might consider, given your experience this evening hosting this, you might use the town Zoom to meet with the company hierarchy. And
Okay.
I'm supportive of that, and I'd be very grateful, Maria and Terry, for your time to do that. I have a couple of clarifying questions. So is it what I'm hearing that the appraisers have to, in order to complete their job on a particular property, they have to go in the house?
Right.
That's a requirement?
No, because there's going to be homeowners that are going to say, I don't want you to come into my house. It's going to be
Right.
limited.
So
It'll be limited,
Right,
but
so-
it's still a choice of the homeowner.
right, but so what you said is they can do this door interview and then they have to come back. So that's what confused me. The door interview isn't enough.
Right. No. To Terry's point, in order to have a fair and equitable reassessment, inside visits are really an important part of that.
Okay, got
Absolutely.
it.
The
Okay.
door visits are because it's because if the owner would allow them to come in, they would go in, but because of the restriction that they have told us
Got it.
about, they're not going into houses.
Okay,
might
and they
just
would
put-
like to, that makes it better.
Correct. I might just add, when we talk to the appraiser, and Terry, I think it's a great idea to get on a conversation, and we can also have the appraiser who's going to be working on it part of that conversation if he's available. He did not indicate to me or to us that they were not going to be able to do this and finish it, which included all the home visits, by the end of the contract. So at no point did I get the sense that he was saying, because he said to us, you know, I'm going to have visited and seen and taken notes on every single house by the end of this year, which leaves all of next year to do all the other stuff that they need to do before the contract ends.
And I get that. I guess the question is the million-dollar question is what is going to be a home visit? What are they defining home visits as? Is that just a door visit? So there's where I have the issue, is what they're calling the home visit.
Okay, let me read you what it says under F in their contract. If the property owner is not home at the time of the original inspection, a card stating that a visit was made and how to make an appointment for an inspection will be left at the time of each visit. The Dummerston Lister's office will contact property owners and make appointments for the property inspectors. Near the end of the reappraisal, a notice may be sent to property owners that need an inspection with information on how to make an appointment. So they intend to go inside.
So I have a couple of things. One is that, different from prior times of doing reappraisals and people not being home a good part of the time, everybody's home now. You know, we're all home, and more likely they're going to find people at home now. I don't think that people are going to be comfortable letting people into their house, letting strangers into their house, until we have a vaccine. And we're not going to have a vaccine until middle of next year, you know? So, and I didn't hear anything about, you know, PPE or, you know, people wearing masks or that kind of protocol. We're going to need to hear, you know, what the protocol is, even for a door visit.
Yep.
So if going in a house is what makes a reappraisal equitable, I think we're kind of at a rock and a hard place with this getting completed.
That's the issue, because if you've got 10% of the people that decide that they don't have a problem with it, even with COVID, to come in, but 90% don't, but you know, you see a lot more when you walk into a house for those that want it. So how are there's where the rock and the hard place is to make this
I mean,
fair
I'm
and
not going to let
equitable.
somebody in my house, you know, I'm not going to let them in my house. I think that's probably pretty common.
Well, then this,
Then I would suggest you do have this kind of a meeting with some important people.
Right.
yeah,
And it could be something you talk about, and maybe this is postponed.
Well, let's hear from the appraisals, because they've been working in other towns right through the virus, and somehow these other towns are getting their appraisals done.
Good.
They may have ways of being able to look through the windows, to be able to look through if the people are willing to open the doors, to look in the living room, see what we can see. I think basically, let's do exactly what Terry suggested. Find out what their plan is with the concerns that you're raising, Joan, because I think those are important concerns, and let's see what they say.
okay, so
And I think I was just going to say, I think it saves a lot of time to have a call where we have a select board member or two on the call, because then you're not having to relay it again.
Yes.
That's great. Yep.
Right. So can give you time to get a hold of Ed, and could we schedule it for Thursday or Friday of next week?
Well, next Thursday is our final grievance day for the listers, and we need to be available to all the property owners. So it would have to be after 3 o'clock on Thursday or anytime Friday if the other listers are available. Michael, are you?
Yep.
Okay. Maria, would that work for you?
Yep, Friday works fine for me.
And Thursday after 3?
Thursday after 3 would be fine as well.
Okay, that's good. Then let's set up that conversation so that we can at least so we don't have these town emails going out and who's doing what. Let's get a level playing field here.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And I don't know, Terry, what you think, if other board members have questions or thoughts, if they send them to either you or I, and you and I can get together and come up with a list of questions ourselves. But if there's the other 3 board members have questions, maybe there'll be duplicates of what you and I come up with, but that way everybody, if they have thoughts, just let us know.
Yes, okay. Sounds
Yep.
good.
Right. And then
That
you
way-
would provide us with a summary or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Good. Sounds good.
Yep.
David, did you have something to say?
No, that's good with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Oh, did you want the listers to call Ed or email to see if he can come? Because he can be with us on a conference call?
Yeah, that would be good because you've got him, you got his number and everything, Gene, and you can work with your 2 other guys there and set it up because I think Maria and I are pretty free for that Friday or after 3 on Thursday.
Okay.
How's
Okay.
that sound?
Hear that, Michael?
Yep, got it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Crazy times.
It is.
Okay. All right. So, any other questions regarding that? All right. Next, we have a dog complaint. We've had a dog issue going on the west side of town. We have a dog that's running at large. The owner we received some complaints. The owner received a letter and phone calls directing them to keep the dog on their property. And apparently they're not complying with that, nor have they, at least the last that I heard, had not sent in. They were issued a nuisance dog fine, which in Dummerston, the first fine is $20. So, the dog is continuing to roam, at least as far as we know.
Yeah.
So,
How much is the second fine? I'd send that out.
I guess in a calendar year, you're by statute, you can go up to $800 on.
And they didn't pay the 20?
Yeah.
Right. But we haven't, haven't, it's been quiet for the last 2 weeks, but it's just, we're waiting.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Usually with nuisance dogs, you know, the owners even reluctantly make an effort to keep their dog on their property, or, you know, tether the dog, or leash the dog, or usually, you know, people go along with this once they learn that their dog is a problem.
Had enough water?
And so this one, so the dog ordinance in town relies on, you know, the good neighbor policy, pretty much, and this isn't working in this case. So we might have to move on from being good neighbors. So if you, I don't know
What's
if you're.
the next step? What is moving on? What does that mean? Call the police?
Because the police can only go with our ordinance, and our ordinance is kind of a little fuzzy. They can't, I wouldn't think that they could do much. It would be probably more going to the town attorney and pursuing it that way.
Yeah, then we get charged for that.
Yes, yes.
Right.
$20 goes up
Yeah.
quick when we start getting the lawyers involved.
now,
Yeah.
now
What
I
a
could,
bummer.
if we get another complaint from these people, which, you know, and I could do it this way. I've talked to Mark Anderson. They can just take me. They can't do anything about it, but I at least could go up with him and actually speak to the owner face to face, and
or mask to mask. Yeah.
with the mask too. Yes, but they will go for not to deal with anything but the dog, but just for, you know, just to be there with me. I'd be, you know, if you want, I'd be willing, if we get another complaint come through, to make arrangements and go up there and speak face to face with the owner this time. But after that, I mean, if it keeps coming in, then we'll just have to deal with it down the road.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like it's just kind of waiting for, you know, something really bad to happen. I mean, you know.
The Dummerston dog ordinance, that's what it does. It waits for something bad to happen. It's not, it's, you know, the Dummerston dog ordinance, I'm sorry to make this bad joke, but it doesn't have very much in the way of teeth to it.
Yeah, got it.
Need
So-
to change that. We need to have a new ordinance.
Well, this ordinance was, you know, the town didn't have an ordinance, and in 1995, they came up with this one, and it has worked pretty well, you know, especially when people behave as good neighbors. But
Right.
we may want to look at revising the ordinance. VLCT, Vermont League of Cities and Towns, has a model ordinance, which is quite thorough. When the sheriff was thinking of taking on animal control duties for the towns in Windham County, he was suggesting that everyone adopt, you know, the same ordinance. And so it's something we might want to put on our list of things to look into. And we might want to think about if we did have a coherent dog ordinance or nuisance ordinance, might we want to put it in the budget to contract with the sheriff's department or Brattleboro Animal Control to cover the animal control needs for Dummerston, as we seem to have no one stepping up to take this on as a position. Maybe-
I could check in with the sheriff and have him see what the cost would be, and I could check in with Kathy Barrows
Okay.
and see what she could give us the cost for this next, while we work on the budget. So I can check in with both of them.
Okay.
Do you want me to wait until, since we've had, about a 2-week break? Do you want me to just schedule a time with him, or do you want me to wait till the next complaint comes in and then just say, okay, I'll go up with the sheriff? Which do you want me to work on this one?
I'd be inclined to wait till the next complaint.
Okay.
comes in.
All right. So if either Zeke or I get an email, then we'll just plan on, I'll call up the sheriff and get a time and go up.
Mhm.
That okay with
That
everyone?
sounds good.
Yeah, I have a question. What do you do? What can the town do if somebody refuses to pay the fine?
A good question. They owe the town some money now. So just like, if they, paid their taxes $20 short, this is on the books.
Yeah.
And eventually, one way or the other, the town will collect this $20, or the select board will have to rescind the fine. So.
David,
Yeah,
is
well,
that,
thanks, Terry.
no problem. David, is that anything you're interested in, is pulling off the VLCT dog ordinance?
Yes.
And I'll
Yeah.
grab you a copy of our dog ordinance and I'll bring it over to you tomorrow and you can start looking
Yeah.
through it.
Yep, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see some, other ordinances, like read what's possible.
Okay,
You know.
the Dummerston ordinance is on the town website.
Oh, that's true.
Mhm.
Under the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the file cabinet, it's listed as the animal control ordinance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Right, okay,
Great.
good, thank you, Terry.
You're welcome. So I'll check in with Mark and Kathy for those. All right. Sounds like a plan.
All
All
right,
right.
any other new business?
The only thing I had to do was check in with Geraldine to see if she's going to be home around 10 o'clock, just to sign some warrants tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 10?
Yeah, around 10-ish.
Yeah, between 10 and 10:30. I'm probably leaving around 11:15.
Okay, that works. I'm going to meet up with David and so we get the end of the fiscal year. All the warrants we've approved, we'll take care of. And then I'll move it over to the east side of town.
Okay, I do have a doctor's appointment at 9 out in Townsend, but I expect to be back by around 10. Should I stop at your house?
I'll just head up your way because I'll be on the road from David's over.
Okay,
So
okay.
that works
All right.
like a charm.
Okay, great. Thanks for the heads up.
No problem.
Okay.
It's my birthday tomorrow.
Hey.
You can wish me a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay, then,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
hey, great.
I'll second that.
Okay, all right. Well, see you in 2 weeks then.